Hi, I'm Phil James. This is my progressive podcast, and so today I went to go get my chemotherapy from Clatterbridge on the Cancer Centre on the Wirral. Um, so yeah, I'm not looking forward to having to take them later on, but luckily I've got some good anti-sickness with me this time, which is kind of like the only side effect that I get. This will be cycle 3 of chemotherapy, and they've told me that I might get an MRI between cycle 5 and 6, so it feels like I still have a long way to go, really. I feel confident that I'm doing all the right things, but this has also spurred me on to improve my ketogenic diet. Before, where it was all just based on calorie restriction and just going for as low carbohydrate as I can, low as I can get them, and it's more about just anti-inflammation this time. If a food's really good at anti-inflammatory, then I'll consider it for my diet. So I'm trying to add a lot more to my food, like ginger and garlic, and just some of those natural anti-inflammatory foods. But it's not changed that much. So I'm still trying to avoid the really high carb stuff. As soon as I see something above 10 grams of carbohydrate, then I kind of just don't get it, don't bother. And the easy thing this time is that it was 2016 back then, and the diet hadn't really become popular until the year after that, and so there's more options of like keto compliant foods online this time that I can get, because I don't want to lose just the amount of weight that I lost last time, because the ketogenic diet I was on in 2016, I started that year at about 14 stone. It was my heaviest, and I went, by the end of treatment, and when I was recovering from the radiotherapy, my weight shot down to 7 stone. So that is quite a massive drop in body weight. I mean, I was getting, like, you'll probably see it on some old Facebook photos of me. I've got more of like a neck back there, but yeah, now it's just back down in the weight categories again. Anyway, what I really want to do tonight is to look at what's going on with the police around the country, because they keep bragging about busting people for cannabis related offences. You know, isn't it ironic that they call it a controlled drug? I can't remember which one of you it was that said that, but I thought that was a great comment. But there was so many. I saw so many of you in the comments there that beat me to the punch, but I just thought this is really actually offensive, because they've basically put a situation where they're not increasing public safety, they're actually just trolling the public, because most of the people that were commenting on Merseyside Police's status update about a cannabis bust, I mean, they made a few arrests for possession, I guess, at what we were calling the chill rooms in Liverpool, and it's bad because we're in a situation here where we're trying to get the police to see that we're actually on their side, because in the cannabis community there are serving police that rely on us to keep their family members surviving. So this is like a plea to the police in the UK: use your discretion and just do not prioritise cannabis related offences, because even constitutionally that is a law that is there from a corporation. It is not a law from a lawmaker. That law is there because a lobbyist paid for it to be there, because we have legalised bribes here. I mean, Robert Peel, I guess, who started the police. I imagine he'd be turning in his grave at how the war on drugs has gone. It's all it has done is just put a massive divide between the public's trust in the police, and the police having cooperation from the public. When the police use their discretion in a humanistic way, then the public tend to trust them. I mean, we see this in countries where the police are more closer to their communities. But in the UK, it's having a wider divide between law enforcement and the public is probably one of the worst ways we could go down in terms of this country's future. But you know what is happening to me at the moment. I'm in a state where I'm dying at a quicker rate than a lot of the people that are going to see this, and I don't want to die. I'm scared of death. I love my life. I love my daughter. I love my wife. I have so many reasons to want to stay alive. I was just watching an Abby Martin video a while ago, and she was explaining how when she went to go interview those Palestinians, how they were pleading with her camera crew to save them somehow, and they were saying to Abby Martin and the crew, please save us, we don't want to die, we love our lives. And they were saying this while they're in a kind of like an open air prison. They're just penned in, and they're just sort of like getting hazed every now and then. So that's like where Israeli snipers will take shots at civilians when they think they can get away with it, and they do this regularly. It's on my radar a lot at the moment because obviously I'm a Labour Party member and I'm forever being called a anti-Semite, but I have good faith that everything about all those smears are going to be debunked, because I know that it's like Jews against Israel or Jews against occupation, that is a growing movement, and I think the sector in Israel which is very right wing and is racist against Arabic people, that sector in Israel is obviously the one that has the power at the moment. I know that over in Israel, left-wing people or progressives like me, like they're mocked. So it's kind of like almost like it's obviously a very right-wing country. Obviously, with this Benjamin Netanyahu guy, he's not much different from one of those deranged neocon warmongers in Washington. When they first did this, I complained, and one of their guys rang me while I was at work, and I was very honest with him, and I said, look, this is life and death for me, and it could be for you because you're not immune from what happened to me. And that's why I'm trying to plead that the police in the UK understand, is that you're not immune from cancer just because you've got a uniform on, or that you've got some duty to, and you have to follow these laws. There's still your discretion. We know that the police in Merseyside did not need to move in on the club at the chill rooms there. That's just taking this war on drugs in a completely terrible direction. We want to work with the police because, I mean, you're implicated because there's so many of your police across the country that are actually getting help from us. So they're breaking the law, and we're not the sort of community that would throw them under the bus, no matter what happens. But going out of their way, spending their limited resources to police our community. I know a lot of people are saying that the cuts are really starting to bite now, and we've seen that a lot in teaching and so on, and of course the NHS. I've seen that all throughout my cancer treatment. I've seen that. We need to come together as a society, really. In the UK, we're so with our heads down, not looking at each other. British, we're only polite to each other when we're climbing a hill or something, or walking about in the sun, and you just say hello to whoever's passing you by. It's all nice, like a village, very Englishy village. But yeah, we need to really come together more, because we're so fractured. Brexit's obviously not helped that. But I'm not gonna, on all these podcasts going forward, I'm not really gonna touch that subject so much, because that is a divide that even goes through the cannabis community. I mean, people know how I vote, but I'm not going to bring it up, because I want this podcast to be specifically about documenting the more unconsidered dangers that a cancer patient has to face these days. It's not just the disease. It's the problem with cancer is because there's also that death sentence that you're trying to constantly run away from as well. And so you're always aware that life's short and fragile. The whole of the 3 years I've been fighting cancer, and that's why it has been a fight, because although I've been in remission for most of that time, you're never cured of cancer. Everybody has it. It's kind of a bit like in that first season of The Walking Dead, where they go to the CDC, and that spoilers, that lab guy, he whispers that everybody has it, everyone's infected. You're not even the same person you were down to a cellular level by beyond 6 months, I think. And that's probably not with bone matter. But yeah, I'm going off on tangents now. So yeah, that means thanks for everyone who supported the first podcast I did in this format last night. I really hope to. I spoke to Tyler Green from the I Smoke magazine, and hopefully maybe more of us in the cannabis community can start doing some Google Hangouts. It'd be great to sort of make more of these things where we merge podcasts. I mean, it would be great to, like, if Simpa Carter, if we could do something with you as well. Obviously, it'd be good to just like maybe even have people message me what people from the cannabis community they would like to see on a podcast, or what questions you'd like them to be asked. That would be great. So yeah, I'll just leave it there. Alright. Night everyone. Peace.